Me? Sorry.
It's never simple, and let's be honest, it always turns out to be a surprise when the expansion does finally rock up and people are doing like nutty numbers in some random spec we didn't even know did good.
Not in numbers. Oi, mate, I'll give it a go. Not in numbers, mate. I'll give it a go. We'll give me some water, mate. Oi, governor. Hello, governor. Give me some. Oh, go on, mate.
Did good DPS. But the first question we ask, obviously, is what tier of content are we clearing? Because the level of DPS on the, on something like Warcraft logs, it's going to change significantly over the course of the expansion. Certain DPS are going to start off amazing, but then start to level off as time goes on. Some DPS are going to begin basically hitting like a noodle, but then by the end of the expansion, they will be trumping everyone on the meters. Now, what I have here is some DPS rankings from one of the most popular Wrath of the Lich King private servers called Warmane. Now, this was put together by somebody called Sayansitius or Sayansifis. It's a ludicrously...
Should I pause and react on this list from Warmane guy? I think I saw this list before. My main question is, why the fuck did he put Combat Rogue in Uldor as a best DPS class? That is questionable. I mean, everything else seems like okay. I don't know if Feral can out DPS Unholy though, in hard modes. And Red Paladin. Maybe they can. Whatever. Just keep watching.
Ridiculously complicated name to pronounce, but nonetheless I'll put it in the description of this video and the original Reddit post as well. And this is basically based on his personal experiences of playing a lot of Wrath of the Lich King private servers, and by looking at it, it definitely looks fairly accurate in my humble opinion. It's probably not 100% accurate. We shouldn't be taking this as the complete word of God, but I think it's a good start. Obviously,
you should not take this as a word of God, but everything that I'm saying, you should.
These DPS specs in the hands of really exceptional players will scale up a little bit in the rankings from time to time, depending on, what group you're in. But if we took, a group of players all at the top of their form, very equal skill, equal connection, same add-ons, same everything, then yeah, what we're looking at here is fairly accurate. But then we also have to consider that different...
Yo, I have a question. Type 1 in chat if you're from UK. Please. What is the temperature outside? Today? Yeah, like today. Or like 2 weeks ago. 8 degrees. Okay. Now, when I go outside to buy some food, and it's minus 20 in my country, like right now it's minus 8, it's pretty chill. When it's minus fucking 20 outside, I still don't wear a hat. Why would you wear a hat not only outside, but inside? When it's like plus 20 degrees in your apartments. What the hell? And this is not... he's not wearing a hat for like for fashion. This is like an actual hat because it's cold. This is like an actual hat that your grandmother is gonna put up together, I didn't shower. You think? Maybe. I mean, this is why Stay Safe in early days he was always wearing a hat because he would never shower. Is this the same? All right, let's keep watching.
Fights will make different DPS excel on the meters as well. For instance, I know that Holy...
I'm not a professional streamer yet. I need to do this to be professional. Am I professional React Andy now? Alright, let's keep watching.
Always scales up a little bit better on cleave fights, for instance. So, firstly, we have Naxxramas, the first raid that you're going to be stepping into in Breath of Lich King, along with Eye of Eternity and Obsidian Sanctum. So we have at the top the Assassination Rogue, both Death Knight DPS specs, and the Warlock specs. Fairly accurate from my experience of playing private.
First of all, Naxxramas is not new raid. Who is subbed to PokeW? Right. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, I think this is not accurate because I can explain you why. It's because on private servers, most bosses have double or triple the amount of HP of normal Naxxramas bosses back in the day. So, classes with execute phase will benefit much more compared to classes without. That being said, Frost, DK, and Affliction Warlock will perform worse compared to private servers on this list. This is what I want to say.
Private servers, the Assassination Rogue does nutty damage, the Death Knights are great, and the Warlocks are.
And this guy, I'm not talking about Metagoblin, I'm talking about whoever made this list. He probably plays in dogshit guilds because Enhancement Shaman is not that low. Enhancement Shaman should be like right here. They do ridiculous damage.
Unreal as well, both Affliction and Demonology. It's because of the execute window when it comes to Affliction. Now, I have seen Hunters, Balance Druids, and Shadow Priests, you know, compete with Warlocks and Death Knights. But, like, yeah, everything below here, you know, Retribution Paladin. Rep Paladin, it needs crit. Arms Warrior, it needs armor penetration. Fire
Red Paladins don't need crit, they need haste more.
Mage, it needs crit. And you may be thinking, well, we'll be
I think Red Paladin main stat is haste, right? Not crit.
bringing like loads of great crit gear from TBC. Won't that mean that these specs will, you know, be better? But no. Unfortunately, the item levels step up from, you know, Sunwell to basically like basic gear that you can get from Heroic Nexus. It is quite a step up in, you know, primary stats. So
Really?
you won't be able to
Really?
like, deck yourself out in Sunwell gear, although...
Because I remember back in the day, my friend was playing in a world third best guild. I don't remember the name. I think it was in City, Insignia, whatever the fuck. He was playing Red Paladin, and I remember in Trial of Crusade, and past that, his main stat was haste, not crit. But maybe people just didn't know how to play the game.
Some pieces are really good. For instance, the 2-set bonus for a rogue is actually quite good because it gives you an extra 5% haste on slice and dice, something like that anyway. So another reason why Assassination Rogue is really good. Now, there are some inaccuracies to this though, in my opinion. I think Feral, if you know how you're playing a Feral, you know how to itemize your Feral properly.
Yo, what do you think about Feral Druid being number 1 DPS with combo choke in Uldor by this dude? What do you think about this? I guess when we do Uldor raids, bro, we bring 5 combo chokes and 5 Feral Druids. Yogg plus 0 is gonna be really easy with that setup. Yeah, combo choke in Uldor XD, bro. What the fuck?
He will do much more DPS. I've seen Ferals do nutty DPS in Naxxramas. And then Blood Death Knight, there is actually a good Blood Death Knight DPS spec that you can...
This list is really weird. How can a Feral Druid go from bottom tier to number 1 DPS by increasing only 10 item levels? It doesn't
take advantage of.
Doesn't make sense.
Early Wrath, and it won't be at the bottom of the meters, trust me. It's fairly decent. And another thing I will say,
Set
for
bonus?
instance, a Retribution Paladin on
that much? Like from the bottom tier to number 1 DPS?
cleave fights like Noth in Naxxramas will definitely top the meters because like literally all of their abilities is a cleave ability. Now we have Ulduar, so things shift a little bit here. This is when finally combat rogues will basically get good enough gear to start doing like, yeah.
Sorry guys, I need to pause more to to make my stream last longer with less amount of content. So, what do you guys think so far about this guide? Trash, thank you for your opinion. Let's keep watching.
Ridiculously good DPS. Warlocks kind of stay where they are, Death Knights kind of stay where they are, and then we get the Fury Warrior beginning to crawl up as he's getting like armor penetration and crit, and you know, just scaling up with stats basically. We also have the Fire Mage crawling up here, you know, taking over the Arcane Mage, which we'll do eventually. Again, that has a lot to do with crit chance, ignite procs, everything like that. Now we have the Trial of a Crusade.
I think Combat Rogue is completely inaccurate. I don't know about Feral. Everything else seems fine. I think. Maybe Enhancement Shaman should be higher. But everything else seems fine.
So now Death Knights.
Maybe Affliction Warlock should be right here.
Have crawled up to be the top dog spot. Same with Hunters and Fire Mages, and also Retribution Paladin and Warrior again crawling up. But now Warlocks unfortunately are crawling down. Again, from my experience, that is fairly accurate. I'm not saying like Warlocks can never top the meters anymore, but it does kind of feel like their DPS can kind of begin to drop off later on in Wrath of the Lich King. And lastly, we have Icecrown Citadel. And, you know, this ranking here of Fury, Fire, Combat, Feral, and then Ret and Death Knights, yeah, that's fairly accurate. These are going to be, by the end of Wrath of the Lich King, the top dog DPS. It's definitely going to be Fury, Fire, Combat, Feral, and Retribution Paladin and Death Knights, particularly when these Death Knights...
Destruction Warlock is for some reason... okay, guys, everyone who's going to be racing Uldor on release, don't bring Affliction Warlocks, bring Destruction. It's more fun to play, and it does the same damage as Affliction.
To Rep Paladins and the Fury Warrior get Shadowmourne. And I've always felt that at this point, fair enough, you have your top dog specs that I've just described, but like everyone below that is fairly on like a fairly even playing field. Okay, because around about this time, the DPS specs are, you know, fairly balanced, and everyone's just kind of fighting on the meters. Sometimes you see a Shadow Priest on the top of the meters, sometimes you see a Hunter, sometimes you see an Enhancement Shaman, sometimes you see a Warlock. You know, it is a bit of a mix and match. What really separates, you know, DPS at this point is players. But nonetheless, I think the logs for all these different specs will be like fairly similar. But who knows, like, you know, in the future, when we finally get like a big set of data from Warcraft logs, you know, when Wrath of the Lich King, you know, Classic Wrath is finally out, who knows which DPS, you know, will come out on top of others. But I think, like, you know, you'll have your top dog DPS, but then you'll have all the other DPS on a fairly even playing field, and it will look like more like retail World of Warcraft logs, you know, basically. And that's pretty much going to be the end of the video there, guys. By the way, this year I just really can't be bothered with like family drama and spending Christmas with a bunch of Scrooges. So what I've decided to do is actually spend Christmas alone. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little bit of a live stream.
All right. Next video is top 5 weird specs in Wrath of the Lich King.
Alright guys, welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be counting down the top 5 weird specs from the Wrath of the Lich King.
Let me try to guess weird specs. Blood DK DPS. I don't know, Sub Rogue DPS. Top 5